Hey, all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly values, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Just waiting on some more folk to get in here. That's all. I have to remember that Jubilee don't want you. They don't want you to review their stuff. I never get that when channels don't want you to review their content. And that's the part that I never get. Like, fair use don't exist. I don't think it really exists because if you're not flat out stealing content, like, you know what I'm saying, like just posting it like it's yours, no commentary, no nothing, just reposting people's stuff, that's when I feel like that should be clipped, because it's like you're just stealing content at this point and putting it on your channel, and you're not even doing nothing to it, you just reposting it. So I have to remember that these people don't want nobody to review their content. Yeah. Algorithm. So
Chinese people who are immigrants that made a choice to come to the United States, and comparing the continued effort of Black people to ground themselves in a nation that continues to make impediments for them to show and live and exist in their true citizenship is a false equivalency.
I don't believe that happens at all. What no one here is in.
Are you acting right now? Do you really believe
I'm telling
this?
the truth. There's no systemic racism that I've experienced here in America. What system is racist? I think the only racism we've actually seen recently, systemic racism that we've seen, is the application of systemic racism against white people. The University of Western Washington, for example, has been trying to segregate dormitories using Black-only dormitories because Black people feel safer amongst each other. But
here's my thing. And I don't know how long it's going to be, because stuff like this always mess me up. And it takes my mind off of what I was going to say. But there's no systemic racism. What I don't like when people, Black so-called conservatives, talk about what's going on now, they always like to skip how we got here. The disingenuous part of these kinds of conversations is the skipping over of the past and the effects of those actions. White people didn't just get generational wealth that they could preserve and conserve. That wealth literally came from the ownership of Black slaves. Literally. The guy, y'all know the guy that died doing that whole little deep dive down to the Titanic, that billionaire dude, and he got all his other little rich friends to do it, but he wasn't really trying to hear about no safety measures, and then all of them got sucked down like a tuna can. I be telling folks to leave them Titanic people alone. Leave them Titanic people alone. That's a different conversation, because that is a punishment from Allah. Allah punished them people. That is a grave site. Stop trying to go down there to them folks' grave. You gonna join them. You're gonna join them. Keep it up. Keep it up. Because they study talks about what God can't sink. And every time they say God can't sink it, he sink it in the same spot. So, but remember that guy? I watched a documentary of that guy. His ancestors and his wife's ancestors could be traced back to slave owners and politicians. Those, like, his ancestors was in the room when the Declaration of Independence was being written and they signed it and all that type of stuff. Just wealth. His whole line from that point to him had never seen anything other than wealth. We just saying it's their hard work and ingenuity. It's all they hard work and ingenuity, right? They got to where they was at because 100% of them was just so smart. And they was just so on it. That they all rich. Just like they inherited generational wealth, we inherited generational poverty. We inherited that from those decisions and actions, from all of those unfair, unjust laws, oppressions, all of that, all of it. If the system itself is not racist, what is it? Because if the men of yesteryear formulated the system, these were the slave owners. Do you think, honestly, that they formulated a system that did not inherently involve their own bias and racism? These are people who call themselves was justified by God. We ain't even by, I don't know what God they was worshiping. Matter of fact, I do. Quote unquote, they were justified by God to think the way they was doing, to think the way they were thinking, and to do what they were doing. They embedded that. She's gonna get to something. If you watch it, she might say it as I play it, where she talks about culturally they're racist. She didn't even really, and she said it and really didn't articulate it the way that I think she probably could have. She might not have known how. This is why I be saying, and I be getting black people looking at me stupid when I say all white people are white supremacists. Because they're culturally white supremacists. There are white people who would never consider themselves racist. And indeed, they are not. Listen closely. They don't dislike black people. They don't dislike black people. They cool with black people. But culturally, they're white supremacists because they have to be. Because their survival as a group depends upon their ability to colonize other groups, which is where that culture of white supremacy comes from, that the whole ideology behind it. It's a lot of bravado talk. The white supremacy part is the bravado talk, but the real reason Dr. Frances Cress Welsing told you that skip the bravado of we're white and we're better. Skip that. That's what they have to tell themselves so they can sleep at night. The reality is that they understand that they are a world minority and their survival, unlike other groups of people, their specific survival depends literally upon colonizing others because they are genetically inferior and are easily wiped out. They know that. This is where all the pseudoscience come from, where they tried to make it to where black people was inherently biologically inferior to them and all of that type of thing. This is why when we say they get on code, they know how to wipe people when it's time. They do this without hate or rancor. They don't have to hate you. They don't have to be down with lynching nobody or nothing like that. But when it's time to be white, the vast majority of them are gonna be white. The ones who aren't racist do not offer to dismantle the system of white supremacy. They don't do it because they benefit from it. Even if they understand morally it is wrong. The other point is that a lot of them are blind to this. They think that if they don't hate black people and they don't harm black people and they don't talk bad about black people and stuff like that, that they're not racist, and that they don't see it because they grow up in a culture that tells them they gotta be on top and that is their right to be. That's where the system comes from. They will never make a system that don't colonize. The history of white people on this planet, not just from America, on this planet bears that out. They were doing it to each other. They were doing it to each other. They do it to each other. White people do not like each other. Historically, they don't. The English ain't never liked the Franks. That would be the French people. And they ain't never liked the Spaniards. And nobody likes the Italians because they too dark. You know, Italians is the black people of white people. Y'all ever notice that? Italians are the black people of white people. I don't know why they racist. Italians are the white people of black people. I mean, they're the black people of white people. They the only European group that season their food. Name some other European cuisines that heavily season their food and cook it right. Italian. If you listen to an Italian family, they talk and act like black people, just with an Italian accent. The way they roast each other and talk about each other and talk to each other, black people. Other white people don't like them because they too black. They're considered dark. They're considered dark skinned. That olive colored skin, they're considered dark. They do it to each other. They've been fighting each other. The Scottish be fighting the Irish. And they've been doing this stuff. They've been doing this stuff for forever. They must colonize. And once they realized it was other people who was not scratching a living off rocks and who had resources, they understood we can't just come to these people and intermingle with them in order to get their resources, because we don't have anything they need. So we can't really trade. We don't have a skill they need. We don't have a resource that they need. We don't have anything that they need. They are self-subsistent. And they kind of smarter than us too. Can you imagine the level of awe and jealousy that they had to have to step foot on the motherland? And I don't care what kind of problems we was having among each other. You understand that? Here he is, 25 years old, and he looking about 60 because his life real hard. And he looking at a man that's 70 that look 25. So they gotta colonize. They have to colonize. They have to. They don't have a choice. That don't make it right. They just don't got a choice. If they want to survive, if they want to live to fight another day, they got to strike a balance between colonizing and genetically mixing with melanated people. You can think I'm playing if you want to. This is why they'll screw us. Our genetics are superior to them on the whole. So they'll have babies with us, but the hope is that their children marry white so that the whiteness can prevail, but it's strengthened by our blood. This is why they didn't mind having sex with black women, because the children will be white. The children are what their fathers are. But they did not like black men with white women because the children will be black. Children are what their fathers are. They know that. So they were able to disown the children that they had with slave women. Even if the children could pass for white, they could disown them. and all of that type of stuff. They could disown them. But if those children who could pass for white married white and could show up on paperwork as white, they were white. The new Pope family is like that. The new Pope, the guy that they just had as the Pope, he said outright, he said, my family lineage is black. He said, but the last few generations, we've been white. We white. We showed up on paperwork white, married white. He said, but I can go back to my black ancestors. Black. They black. I done got off topic mainly because they done threw me off. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna lie. They cut me off, threw me off. Thank you, Anu said, 2222, we love you. May your light steadily intensify. You are light bearer and truth seeker. Can we speak on the taboo truth of the Jinn worship that is tied to the inception of America conceptually? That is so much of a different conversation. I don't know if anybody is really ready for that one. Very. And it's such a deep rabbit hole. The various worshiping of these different so-called deities and what they think they mean.
They're more likely to kill each other than white people are ever to kill them. That's just the truth. You have King Von rapping about killing other black men. Why should I think that the white man is the oppressor when black men are more likely to kill me?
Oh my God, this is scary. You need to think about me as your mama. Do not talk to me in that fashion. So let's check that now. Okay. So on a basic level, we have to understand that systemic racism is grounded in the realities that Black people have not been considered an equal human being in this country since its onset. So there's simply no way to make the argument that there isn't systemic racism. And we have seen in very clear ways the system operate in an organically racist way. Do not cut me off. When we talk about systemic racism, we can start with even the fact that redlining, which was implemented to discriminate Black communities. Are you shaking your head that redlining doesn't exist?
No, I'm saying I don't think it really existed at all. I mean, no, I don't.
He doesn't think redlining exists. Redlining is the practice of denying mortgages to those who lived in neighborhoods considered risky. Lenders targeted Black and immigrant communities in urban areas. The practice was outlawed in 1968. 1968. That was only 10 years before I was born. Redlining only got outlawed 10 years before yours truly hit this earth. My mama was in high school when redlining got quote unquote outlawed. Exactly. That's something that she ends up saying. I'm not gonna go through it because they don't really threw me off. I'm trying to act like they didn't throw me off as much as they did, but they did. It actually made me mad. So I'm really not gonna go too much longer. But this is the thing. And she brought it up too. Just because they say on the book something was stricken doesn't mean they stopped the practice of it. That's the extra tricky part. Just because on the books they say, oh, we don't do redlining anymore, they find ways to do it. School, for example, school was supposed to be integrated, right? Right? Public school is supposed to be integrated. You're not supposed to segregate public schools, right? A whole thing with little Miss Ruby, I think her name was, walk to school, getting spit on and all that kind of stuff, to make a point about desegregating schools. Our schools our public schools in most counties and cities across this country effectively segregated or not. Despite the anti-segregation laws on the books, are public schools effectively segregated? Schools are effectively segregated by race. Black schools, white schools. This is how they're able to get away with Black public schools being underfunded. The books are old, the knowledge is old, the teachers are not good, the environment is bad, versus white schools in the same city. They struck the segregation off the books and still segregated the schools by dividing it among racial lines. Only they divided it along financial and economic lines. Now, how did they know that if we divide it by economic lines, that would be a one-to-one dividing it by racial lines? Because we know who's poor and who's not. Who's poor? Who's not poor? To the point where they set up laws in the different counties and stuff where you can't go to school outside of your district. So if your address is in a poverty-stricken part of the city, you only have access to those schools, no matter how intelligent you are and capable of competing in those better schools against those students. You can have the intelligence, the academic prowess to go to any school. If this was merit-based and we're judging off of entrance exams, everybody get the same exam, that if you're smart enough to go to the school, you go to the school. Don't matter where your parents live. Why where you stay got something to do with what school you go to. Thank you, Life of Cams. I witnessed white flight take place where I grew up in the 2000s and 2010s, 40 years after the civil rights movement. Right. Thank you, Timothy, for your super stick. I appreciate you. I can't go through with it. They done made me mad. I can't get over it. Like I can't even get my mind back in that same groove because I was gonna go to a certain place with it. I can't do it now. I can't do it now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and log off. Jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your hostess, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.